Ilia Malinin has officially written himself into Winter Olympics history, not with a medal count or a score sheet, but with a single moment that stunned an arena and reignited a long dormant chapter of figure skating. At the Milano Ice Skating Arena on Saturday, February 7th, Malinin took the ice for the men's short program during the team event and did something no skater had done at a 21st century Winter Olympics. He landed a backflip. It was more than a trick, it was a line crossed. Malinin became the first skater since 1998 to perform a backflip at the Olympic Games, and the first to do so since the move was officially unbanned. When he closed his program with the backflip, the crowd reacted instantly: gasps, cheers, disbelief. It was one of those moments that cuts through scoring systems and rule books and lands squarely in memory. The backflip itself has a complicated history in figure skating. For decades, it existed on the fringe, spectacular, crowd pleasing, and undeniably risky, but banned from competition because it was considered dangerous and outside the technical framework of the sport. Skaters could practice it, they could perform it in exhibitions, but in competition it was off limits. That changed only recently when the move was formally allowed again under strict conditions. Even then, few expected to see it at the Olympics. That's what makes Malinin's decision so significant. This wasn't an exhibition, this wasn't a gala. This was the Olympic team event on the biggest stage in the sport, with pressure, expectations, and consequences attached. And he did it anyway. Ilia Malinin has been called the quad god for a reason. His reputation is built on pushing technical boundaries, especially when it comes to jump difficulty. Quadruple jumps that once seemed impossible have become routine in his programs, but the backflip represents something different. It's not about points. In fact, it didn't help him win the event. Malinin finished second in the men's short program with a score of 98.00. Japan's Yuma Kagiyama delivered a stunning routine of his own and took first with a score of 108.67. On paper, Kagiyama won the segment. But paper doesn't capture moments like this. The backflip didn't elevate Malinin's score enough to overcome Kagiyama's technically cleaner and more highly rewarded performance. But it elevated the moment itself. It reminded everyone watching that figure skating isn't only about accumulating points, it's also about risk, courage, and expanding what the sport is willing to show the world. That tension has always defined figure skating. The sport lives between athletic progression and artistic tradition. Every generation wrestles with where the line should be drawn, how much difficulty is too much, how much spectacle belongs in competition, whether innovation enhances the sport or distracts from it. Malinin's backflip dropped that debate right onto Olympic ice. This wasn't a reckless act. It was calculated, controlled, clean. The landing was solid, the timing deliberate. It was performed at the end of the program, a statement rather than a gamble woven into the technical core. And it was legal. That matters. For the first time in decades, the backflip was not a violation, it was a choice, one that came with risk, not just physically, but reputationally. If it failed, it would have been replayed endlessly. If it succeeded, it would still raise questions. Malinin chose to take that risk anyway. That decision reflects the kind of skater he is. He isn't content to win quietly. He isn't content to repeat what others have already done. His career has been defined by expanding the ceiling of what men's figure skating can look like, even when the reward is uncertain. That mindset is rare at the Olympic level, where athletes are often incentivized to play it safe. The team event adds another layer of complexity. Skaters are not only representing themselves, but their country. Every choice carries weight. Malinin's backflip wasn't just a personal statement, it was a public one, delivered under national colors. And yet the reaction was overwhelmingly positive. The crowd recognized the significance immediately. So did commentators. This wasn't chaos, it was history. Even finishing second, Malinin's performance became the most talked about moment of the segment. That says something about how the sport is experienced by audiences versus how it is measured by judges. Scores determine rankings, moments determine legacy. Yuma Kagiyama's performance was exceptional, clean, technically superior by the numbers, and deserving of its score. But Malinin's backflip will be what people remember years from now when they talk about these games because it marked a shift. The first Olympic backflip of the 21st century, the first since it was allowed again, a reminder that figure skating still has room for surprise even in an era of hyper calculated programs. Whether this opens the door for more skaters to attempt similar moves remains to be seen. Judges will still reward fundamentals. Clean jumps, spins, and transitions still matter most. The backflip does not replace those elements, but it expands the vocabulary. Ilia Malinin didn't just perform a backflip, he performed a question: how far can the sport go now that the rules have changed? On February 7th in Milan, that question was answered with a single rotation in the air and a clean landing on Olympic ice. History doesn't always arrive with gold medals. Sometimes it arrives with courage.